Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. His long, scaled fingers tapped against the control panel as he studied the data flowing across the screens. The Sol system lay ahead, another primitive world waiting to join the Vorlaxian Empire. In the past 100 years, his people had conquered 47 star systems. Each one fell within weeks, sometimes days. The pattern was always the same. His scout fleet consisted of 12 ships, each one invisible to primitive sensors. They moved through space like shadows, gathering information before the real war fleet arrived. Behind him, scout leader Velthera worked at her station, her four eyes focused on the incoming data streams. "Commander," she said in her clicking voice, "we are approaching the outer edge of their system. Initial scans show a Type 2 civilization. They have basic space travel, but nothing that should concern us." Zethkar nodded. Type 2 civilizations were easy prey. They usually had a few hundred ships at most, simple weapons, and no real understanding of space warfare. The last 3 species they conquered had been Type 2. All had surrendered after losing their first battle. "How many ships do you count?" he asked. Velthara's eyes moved between her displays. Approximately 300 vessels in orbit around the third planet. Most appeared to be cargo ships and small patrol craft. "I detect basic defense platforms around their moon, but nothing sophisticated." "Any signs of advanced technology?" "Negative, Commander. Their ships use simple fusion drives. Their weapons appear to be basic energy weapons and projectile systems. No shield technology detected. No evidence of faster-than-light communication systems." Zethkar allowed himself a small smile. Another easy conquest. The Vorlaxian war fleet would arrive in 30 days. By then, his scouts would have complete maps of all human military installations. The actual battle would last perhaps 6 hours. "Begin detailed reconnaissance. I want to know the location of every military base, every ship, every weapon platform, standard protocol." "Yes, Commander." Far across the solar system, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command chair of the UES Defender. His ship was one of humanity's newest patrol vessels, equipped with the latest sensor arrays and defensive systems. At 35, Jake had spent 12 years in the Terran Space Navy. He had served on cargo runs to Mars, patrol duties in the asteroid belt, and escort missions to the outer colonies. Today felt different. His instruments had been picking up strange readings for the past 6 hours, small anomalies at the edge of sensor range, moving in patterns that looked almost like ship formations. "Lieutenant Sullivan," he called out to his tactical officer, "are you still tracking those sensor ghosts?" Amy Sullivan looked up from her station. At 28, she was one of the best tactical officers in the fleet. Her red hair was tied back in regulation style, and her green eyes showed concern. "Yes, sir. 12 objects moving in formation. They're staying just at the edge of our sensor range, but the pattern is too organized to be natural." "Could be debris from the mining operations near Neptune," suggested Chief Engineer Pete Davis from his station. Pete was older than the rest of the crew, with gray hair and the calm manner of someone who had seen everything the galaxy could throw at him. Jake frowned. "Debris doesn't move in formation, Pete." "Amy, send a priority message to Luna Command. Include all sensor data from the past 6 hours." "Message sent, sir." On Luna, Admiral Lisa Carter received the message in her office deep within the military command center. At 52, she was the youngest admiral in Terran Space Command history. She had earned her position through brilliant tactical thinking and an ability to see patterns that others missed. She studied the sensor data on her wall display. 12 objects, moving in perfect formation, staying just beyond detailed sensor range. The movement pattern was familiar. She had seen it in war games and tactical simulations. It was a standard reconnaissance formation. Carter touched a button on her desk. "Get me Admiral Harrison at Fleet Command. Priority 1. The connection opened immediately. Admiral Frank Harrison appeared on her screen, his weathered face showing concern at the priority level of the call. "Lisa, what's the situation?" "Frank, we may have visitors. Take a look at this sensor data from the Defender." Harrison studied the information for several long minutes. His expression grew more serious as he analyzed the patterns. "This looks like a scout formation. he said finally. That's what I think too. If they're scouts, there's a main fleet somewhere behind them. How long do you think we have? Carter thought carefully. Based on standard military doctrine, scouts usually operate 30 to 60 days ahead of the main force. If I'm right, we have maybe a month to prepare. I'll begin activation of the reserve protocols immediately. How much do you think they know about us? Probably very little yet. They're being careful, staying at long range. But Frank, if they're using standard reconnaissance patterns, they're going to get much closer. We need to decide how much we want them to see. Harrison nodded grimly. I'll contact the other fleet commanders. We'll start moving the reserve units into position, but quietly. Let them think they're seeing a standard planetary defense force. Understood. I'll coordinate with the outer system bases. We'll make sure they get exactly the information we want them to have. Back on the Vorlaxian flagship, Velthara was beginning her detailed scans of the inner system. Her instruments probed the space around Earth and its moon, mapping the locations of ships and installations. Everything looked exactly as expected for a Type 2 civilization. Commander, I'm detecting approximately 50 military installations on the third planet's surface. Most appear to be basic ground-to-orbit defense systems. The moon base seems to be their primary military command center. What about their fleet strength? I count roughly 200 combat vessels of various sizes. Most are small patrol ships or system defense craft. I detect perhaps 20 larger vessels that might qualify as capital ships, but they're much smaller than our destroyers. Zethkar studied the tactical display. Show me their formation patterns. The display changed to show the positions of human ships throughout the inner solar system. They were spread out in what looked like a basic defensive formation around the major planets and trade routes. Very primitive, Zethkar commented. They're trying to defend everything at once. Classic mistake. When our main fleet arrives, we'll concentrate our forces and punch through their weakest point. Shall I move the scout fleet closer for detailed scans? Not yet. Let's observe their patrol patterns first. I want to understand their response times and communication systems. Velthara returned to her work, unaware that every scan she made was being detected and analyzed by hidden sensor networks throughout the solar system. The humans were watching the Watchers, carefully controlling what information the aliens could gather. On the bridge of the UES Sentinel, Captain Ben Rodriguez received new orders from Fleet Command. His ship and 5 others were to begin what appeared to be routine patrol operations near Mars. In reality, they were positioning themselves to intercept any alien scouts that moved deeper into the system. Set course for Mars orbit, he ordered. Standard patrol speed, we want to look completely normal. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Kate Phillips, nodded. Sir, should we prepare for possible contact? Prepare for everything, Lieutenant. But, remember, we're just a routine patrol as far as they know. The chess game had begun. The aliens believed they were hidden observers studying primitive humans. The humans knew they were being watched and were carefully controlling what their watchers could see. Both sides were preparing for war, but only one side knew that preparation had already begun. 3 days had passed since the alien scouts reached the outer edge of the solar system. Commander Zethkar felt confident about what his forces had discovered. The humans appeared to be exactly what he expected from a Type 2 civilization. Simple ships, basic weapons, and predictable defensive patterns. Scout leader Velthara, he called across the bridge. I want to begin the intimidation phase. Decloak 3 ships near their 4th planet. Show them our superior technology. They should surrender immediately once they see what they're facing. Velthara's 4 eyes blinked in acknowledgement. Which ships shall I use, Commander? The Shadow Blade, Dark Hunter, and Void Strike. Have them appear in formation near the red planet. Make sure the humans can see them clearly. Yes, Commander. Near Mars, Captain Ben Rodriguez was leading a routine patrol with his squadron of 6 ships when his sensors suddenly lit up with new contacts. 3 large vessels had appeared from nowhere, their sleek black hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Contact! Shouted Lieutenant Amy Sullivan from her tactical station. 3 unknown vessels bearing 27 Mark IV. They just decloaked right in front of us. Ben felt his heart rate increase, but his voice remained calm. All ships, battle stations. Signal Luna Command immediately. Priority Alpha. The alien. Ships were impressive. Each one was nearly twice the size of his destroyer, with weapons ports that glowed with ominous energy. Their design was unlike anything in human records, curved hulls covered with unknown technology, and sensor arrays that swept space around them like searching eyes. On Luna, Admiral Lisa Carter received the alert within seconds. The moment she had been expecting for 3 days had finally arrived. "Admiral Harrison," she said into her communicator. "They've revealed themselves. 3 ships near Mars." "Understood. Activating Response Protocol 7. All units, move to assigned positions." What happened next would have shocked the aliens if they had been paying attention to their long-range sensors. Across the solar system, dozens of ships that had appeared to be routine cargo vessels or civilian transports suddenly changed course and began moving toward Mars at high speed. Captain Kate Phillips was hidden inside an asteroid near Ceres when she received her orders. Her ship, the UES Phantom, had been disguised as a mining vessel for the past week. "All hands, prepare for combat operations. Drop the mining equipment camouflage and bring weapons online." Her crew worked quickly to shed the fake equipment that had made their warship look like a civilian craft. Within minutes, the Phantom revealed itself as one of humanity's newest stealth destroyers. Commander Zethkar watched the human response with growing confusion. Instead of the terrified surrender he expected, the humans were doing something completely unexpected. They were fighting back. "Report," he demanded from Velthara. "The local human ships are taking defensive positions, but they're not retreating. More concerning, I'm detecting at least 30 additional ships moving toward our position from various locations throughout the system." 30 ships? Where did they come from?" "Unknown, Commander. They appear to have been disguised as civilian vessels." On the bridge of the UES Defender, Captain Jake Morrison coordinated with the other human ships as they surrounded the alien vessels. The 3 alien ships were powerful, but they were badly outnumbered. "This is Captain Morrison to unknown vessels. You have entered Terran space without permission. State your intentions, or withdraw immediately." The response came in perfect English, transmitted directly to all human ships. The voice was cold and electronic. "Primitive humans, you will surrender immediately. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Submit to the Vorlaxian Empire, and your deaths will be quick." Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Chief Engineer Pete Davis shook his head in disgust. Lieutenant Amy Sullivan's hands tightened on her weapon controls. "Unknown vessels, this is your final warning. Withdraw from Terran space immediately. You dare threaten us? We will demonstrate why 47 worlds have fallen before our might." The lead alien ship, Shadowblade, opened fire with a brilliant, purple energy beam that struck the human destroyer. "Courage." The human ship's shields flared and held, but the hull took significant damage. "All ships, weapons free," Jake ordered. "Take them down." What followed was unlike any battle Commander Zethkar had ever experienced. Instead of the panicked, disorganized resistance he expected from primitives, the humans attacked with perfect coordination. 36 human ships moved in complex patterns, their weapons focused with deadly precision. Captain Steve Wright led his squadron in a coordinated attack on the Dark Hunter. His 5 ships attacked from different angles simultaneously, their energy weapons and missiles overwhelming the alien vessel's defenses. "Target their weapon ports," he ordered. "Don't let them get another shot off." The Dark Hunter's shields collapsed under the focused assault. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as human weapons found their targets. On the Vorlaxian flagship, Velthara's voice showed panic for the first time. "Commander, the Dark Hunter is heavily damaged. The humans are using tactics I've never seen before. They're coordinating their attacks like a single organism but without hive mind technology." Zethkar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How were these primitives fighting so effectively? His scouts were some of the most advanced ships in the Vorlaxian fleet, yet they were being overwhelmed by smaller, supposedly inferior vessels. "How are they coordinating so precisely?" he demanded. "Unknown, Commander. They appear to be using simple radio communications, but their response time is impossibly fast. It's as if they've practiced these exact maneuvers thousands of times." They had. For 15 years, human space forces had drilled these scenarios endlessly. Every captain knew exactly how to respond when aliens appeared. Every crew had trained for this moment since they joined the service. Captain Ben Rodriguez pressed his attack on the Void Strike, his squadron working with mechanical precision. Target their engines. If we can disable their movement, we can force a surrender. The Void Strike tried to break away from the human formation, but everywhere it turned, more human ships appeared. Captain Kate Phillips emerged from behind an asteroid, her weapons already charged and ready. "Surprise," she said over the communication channel, as her missiles struck the alien ship's rear shields. Commander Zethkar realized his forces were in serious trouble. "All ships retreat to long-range positions. We need to reassess the situation." But as his scouts tried to withdraw, they discovered something that filled Zethkar with a new kind of fear. The humans weren't just defending their inner system. More ships were appearing from the outer planets, cutting off his retreat routes. Admiral Frank Harrison had positioned his forces perfectly. Heavy cruisers emerged from behind Jupiter's moons, while fast attack craft swarmed out from hidden bases. In the asteroid belt, the aliens found themselves surrounded. "Commander," Velthera reported, her voice now showing genuine fear, "I'm detecting over 100 human vessels converging on our position. They have us completely surrounded." Zethkar looked at his tactical display and felt something he had never experienced in 47 previous conquests. Doubt. These humans weren't acting like any primitive species he had ever encountered. They were fighting like a major galactic power. "Full retreat," he ordered. "Maximum speed to the outer system." The 3 alien scout ships broke formation and fled toward the edge of the solar system, their stealth systems engaged. Behind them, the human fleet held position, not pursuing but clearly ready for another fight. On Luna, Admiral Carter watched the aliens retreat on her strategic display. The first test was over, and humanity had passed with flying colors. "Status report," she requested. "One ship damaged, no casualties," came the reply from Captain Morrison. "The aliens are withdrawing to the outer system." Carter nodded grimly. This was just the beginning. The aliens now knew that humans weren't the easy prey they expected, but they probably still didn't understand the true scope of what they had stumbled into. "Maintain current positions," she ordered. "Let them think about what just happened, and begin Phase 2 of the Revelation Protocol." In the outer system, Commander Zethkar's scout fleet regrouped, their crews shaken by the unexpected defeat. For the first time in Vorlaxian military history, their scouts had been forced to retreat from a supposedly primitive world. The humans had just announced that they weren't going to be conquered easily. What the aliens didn't yet realize was that they had only seen the very beginning of humanity's true military capability. Commander Zethkar paced back and forth on his bridge, fury radiating from every movement. His 3 scout ships had been damaged by primitives. The shame of it burned in his chest like acid. In 47 conquests, no Vorlaxian scout force had ever been forced to retreat. "We will show these humans what real power looks like," he growled to scout leader Velthara. "Prepare for a full assault on their moon base. 30 ships. We will crush their command center and show them the price of resistance." Velthara hesitated. "Commander, perhaps we should wait for the main fleet. The humans showed unexpected coordination in the last battle." 30 ships against their pathetic moon base? They got lucky before, because we only sent 3 vessels. This time we use overwhelming force. Zethkar studied the tactical display showing Earth's moon. Human intelligence suggested it was their primary military headquarters. Destroying it would break their command structure and force a quick surrender. All ships move to attack formation. Target the lunar installations. We end this today. On Luna, Admiral Lisa Carter watched the alien fleet approach through her command center's main display. 30 ships in perfect attack formation, moving directly toward humanity's oldest off-world colony. "Admiral Harrison," she said into her communicator. "They're coming straight at us. 30 vessels." "Copy that, Lisa. Are you ready?" Carter smiled, grimly. "We've been ready for this moment for 20 years. She turned to her tactical officer, Captain Helen Rogers. "Helen, activate Luna Defense Protocol 7, all hidden platforms online. all reserve squadrons to battle stations. What happened next would have been impossible for the aliens to predict. The seemingly empty space around Luna suddenly filled with ships. Hidden hangar bays opened in asteroids that had been quietly moved into position over the past decade. Weapon platforms that looked like communication satellites revealed their true nature. Captain Jerry Martinez commanded one of the largest hidden bases, built inside an asteroid positioned near Luna's North Pole. His facility housed 50 combat vessels, all invisible to alien sensors until this moment. All squadrons, launch immediately. Formation Delta 7. Protect the command center at all costs. Admiral Frank Harrison led the main defense fleet from his flagship, the UES Liberty. Around him, ships emerged from hiding places throughout the lunar orbital zone. What the aliens thought would be a simple assault on a lightly defended target became something completely different. Admiral Carter, Harrison called over the communications channel. We have 300 ships in position and ready for combat. 300 ships. Commander Zeth Carr stared at his tactical display in shock. Where had they come from? His scouts had mapped this area repeatedly. There had been perhaps 20 human vessels in the vicinity just hours ago. How is this possible? He demanded from Velthara. Unknown, Commander. The ships appear to be emerging from asteroids and hidden installations. Our scans showed no signs of major military construction. Because you weren't looking for it, came a new voice over the communication channel. It was Admiral Carter speaking directly to the alien fleet. You saw what we wanted you to see. Zethkar felt a chill run down his spine. These humans had been planning for this encounter. They had deliberately deceived his scouts. You made a mistake coming here, Carter continued. You assumed we were like other species you've conquered. We're not. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Vorlaxian military history. The 30 alien ships found themselves outnumbered 10-1 by human vessels that fought with incredible coordination and tactical skill. Captain Laura Phillips led the first wave of defenders in her ship, the UES Constitution. Her squadron of 12 vessels moved in perfect formation, their weapons targeting the lead alien ship with precision that should have been impossible. Focus fire on their command vessel, she ordered. Take out their leader and the rest will fall back. Admiral Rick Thompson commanded the flanking force, emerging from behind Luna with 60 ships in a coordinated attack pattern. His vessels had been hidden in lunar shadow, invisible to alien sensors. All ships attack pattern Omega, hit them from the sides while Phillips takes them head-on. The aliens tried to respond with their standard tactics, but nothing worked against the human defense. Every move they made seemed anticipated. Every formation they tried was countered immediately. On his flagship, Zethkar watched his forces take devastating losses. 5 ships destroyed in the first 10 minutes of combat, 8 more severely damaged. The humans weren't just defending, they were systematically destroying his fleet. Commander, Velthara reported, her voice filled with panic. I'm detecting massive fleet movements throughout the system. Ships are emerging from locations we never identified. The asteroid belt appears to be filled with hidden military installations. Zethkar switched his display to show the entire solar system. What? He saw made his blood run cold. Red dots representing human military vessels were appearing everywhere. The asteroid belt, which his scouts had dismissed as mining operations, was revealing itself as a massive military complex. General Nancy Lewis commanded the asteroid belt, defense forces from her headquarters inside Ceres. At her signal, hundreds of installations that had appeared to be simple mining facilities revealed their true nature. Weapon platforms, shipyards, and fleet bases hidden throughout the asteroid field came online. All sectors, implement full revelation protocol, she ordered. Show them what we've really been building out here. Automated systems throughout human space began activating. Civilian ships shed their disguises and revealed themselves as military vessels. Trading stations unfolded weapon arrays. Mining platforms transformed into fortress installations. The scope of human military preparation became clear to Zethkar for the first time. This wasn't a simple planetary defense force. The humans had militarized their entire solar system. Retreat, he ordered desperately. All ships full retreat to the outer system. But even retreat was proving difficult. Human ships seemed to be everywhere, cutting off escape routes and harassing his fleeing vessels. Captain Tim Anderson's Deep Space Patrol intercepted 3 of the alien ships as they tried to flee toward Jupiter. This is Captain Anderson to alien vessels. Surrender now or be destroyed. The alien ships chose to fight. It was a mistake. Anderson's squadron had been specifically designed for long-range operations and was equipped with humanity's most advanced weapons. The 3 alien vessels were destroyed within minutes. Commander Zethkar's fleet, reduced to 18 ships, finally reached the outer edge of the solar system. Behind them, the human fleet held position, not pursuing but clearly ready for another attack. Status report, Zethkar demanded weakly. 12 ships destroyed, 6 heavily damaged, Velthara reported. Commander, the humans have revealed military capabilities far beyond anything we detected. I'm reading over 5,000 combat vessels throughout their system. 5,000 ships. Zethkar sat down heavily in his command chair. The largest Vorlaxian fleet ever assembled had only 3,000 vessels. These humans possessed a military force that rivaled the entire Vorlaxian navy. How did our intelligence fail so completely? He asked. They planned this, Commander. Everything we saw was deliberate deception. They've been preparing for contact with hostile aliens for decades. Their entire civilization appears to be oriented around military preparation. On Luna, Admiral, Carter reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. The second test was complete and the results were even better than expected. Damage report, she requested. Minimal losses, came the reply from Admiral Harrison. 3 ships damaged, no casualties. The aliens are retreating to the outer system with heavy losses. Carter nodded. Good. Begin Phase 3. I want them to see what we've been building in the outer planets. Admiral Doug Mitchell received his orders at Jupiter Command. His heavy battle fleet had been waiting in the shadows of the gas giants, moons invisible to alien sensors. Now it was time to reveal humanity's true strength. All ships, move to intercept positions. Let's show our visitors what a real space navy looks like. In the outer system, Commander Zethkar tried to process what his scouts had discovered. The humans weren't just defending their home world. They had built a military machine that spanned their entire star system. Ships, weapons, and installations hidden everywhere. But the worst was yet to come. As his damaged fleet limped toward the edge of human space, new contacts began appearing on his sensors. Massive ships emerging from the outer planets. A fleet so large it defied comprehension. Commander, Velthara whispered, I'm detecting over 1,000 additional ships moving toward our position from the outer system. Zethkar stared at the tactical display. The humans had been holding back their main fleet. Everything they had shown so far was just the beginning. For the first time in his military career, Commander Zethkar felt genuine fear. They hadn't encountered a primitive species ripe for conquest. They had found a military superpower that had been quietly preparing for interstellar war. Commander Zethkar sat in his damaged flagship, staring at the tactical display with hollow eyes. His scout fleet had been reduced to 18 ships, most of them damaged, 12 vessels destroyed by primitives. The shame would follow him for the rest of his life, assuming he lived long enough to feel shame. Set course for the edge of their system, he ordered weakly. Maximum stealth. We need to get back to Vorlaxian space and warn the Empire. Scout leader Velthara worked frantically at her station, trying to analyze the overwhelming amount of data they had gathered. Commander, the scope of human military preparation is beyond anything in our records. They've turned their entire star system into a fortress. How many ships do they actually have? Conservative estimate? 8,000 combat vessels. And that's just what we've detected. There could be more hidden throughout their system. 8,000 ships. The main Vorlaxian battle fleet consisted of 3,000 vessels. These humans possessed nearly 3 times the military strength of the entire Vorlaxian Empire. As the alien ships limped toward the outer edge of the solar system, they had no idea they were being followed. Captain Tim Anderson commanded a squadron of deep space interceptors, ships designed specifically for long-range operations beyond the solar system. Maintain distance, he ordered his pilots. Let them think they're getting away. We want to see where they go. Anderson's ships were marvels of human engineering. Built for extended operations far from supply bases, they could operate independently for months. Their stealth systems were more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. Captain, his tactical officer reported, the alien ships are broadcasting on long-range frequencies. They're trying to contact someone. Can we intercept the messages? Already doing it, sir. They're sending distress calls to something called the Vorlaxian Empire, requesting immediate reinforcement. Anderson smiled grimly. The aliens were calling for help. That meant there were more of them somewhere in the galaxy. This information would be crucial for human military planning. On Luna, Admiral Lisa Carter reviewed the intelligence reports with growing concern. The aliens weren't acting alone. They were scouts for a larger force, probably a full invasion fleet. Admiral Harrison, she said over the secure channel, we need to accelerate our deep space reconnaissance program. If these aliens have an empire behind them, we need to know where they are and how strong they are. Agreed. I'll authorize the launch of long-range scout missions immediately. Carter looked at the star charts on her wall display. Humanity had always known this day would come. First contact with a hostile alien species. They had prepared for decades, but preparation was different from reality. Sir, her aide entered the office. We're receiving reports from the outer system. Admiral Mitchell's fleet is in position. Good. Let's show our visitors what humanity can really do. At Jupiter, Admiral Doug Mitchell commanded the largest fleet ever assembled by human space forces. His battle group consisted of over 1,000 ships, including humanity's newest and most powerful vessels. They had been hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's moons, invisible to alien sensors. All ships, move to intercept the retreating alien force, Mitchell ordered. Formation Delta Prime. I want them to see exactly what they're dealing with. The massive human fleet emerged from behind Jupiter like a rising tide of metal and energy. Battleships longer than city blocks, carriers packed with fighter squadrons, and destroyers bristling with advanced weapons systems. Commander Zethkar watched in growing horror as his sensors detected the approaching human fleet. Over 1,000 ships moving in perfect formation, their weapon systems charged and ready for battle. How many fleets do they have? He whispered. Velthara's voice shook as she reported the sensor readings. Commander, this appears to be their main battle fleet, but I'm also detecting smaller fleets near Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. They have forces positioned throughout their outer system. They've been watching us this entire time. Yes, Commander. And now they're making sure we know exactly how outmatched we are. The human fleet took position between the aliens and the edge of the solar system, not attacking but making their presence unmistakably clear. The message was obvious. The humans could destroy the alien scouts whenever they chose. Admiral Mitchell opened a communication channel to the alien ships. Unknown vessels, you are leaving Terran space. Do not return. If your empire sends a war fleet, we will be ready. Zethkar tried to respond with defiance, but the words wouldn't come. How could he threaten a force that outnumbered his entire scout fleet 50-1? We acknowledge, he finally managed. As the alien ships continued their retreat, more disturbing intelligence reached Velthara's station. Long-range sensors were detecting signs of human expansion beyond their home system. Commander, I'm picking up artificial signals from the direction of the Alpha Centauri system. The patterns match human communication protocols. Zethkar felt his heart sink even further. They have colonies in other star systems? It appears so, Commander, and if they've militarized their home system to this extent, their colonies are probably equally well defended. The true scope of human space power was becoming clear. This wasn't just a single well-defended world. The humans had been expanding throughout their local region of space, building fleets and fortifications in multiple star systems. Captain Susan Wright commanded one of the human deep space monitoring stations, hidden in the Kuiper Belt. Her facility had been tracking alien movements since they first entered the solar system. Admiral Carter, she reported, the alien ships are broadcasting detailed reports about our military capabilities. They're definitely scouts for a larger force. Understood, Captain. Continue monitoring. I want to know everything about their communication protocols and fleet dispositions. Wright Station was one of dozens scattered throughout the outer solar system, all designed to monitor space far beyond human territory. The network gave humanity awareness of approaching threats years before they could reach Earth. Colonel Rita Davis commanded another monitoring station near Pluto. Her sensors had detected something that changed everything about the alien threat. Admiral, I'm tracking long-range energy signatures consistent with faster-than-light travel. Multiple contacts heading toward Vorlaxian space. The aliens aren't just scouts. They're part of a much larger fleet that's been positioned outside our detection range. The implications were staggering. The Vorlaxian Empire had positioned a main battle fleet somewhere beyond the solar system, waiting for their scouts to complete their reconnaissance. The invasion force was already on its way. Admiral Joe Parker received emergency orders to activate humanity's most secret defensive system. Hidden throughout the outer solar system were weapon platforms disguised as scientific research stations. Each one possessed enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet. All Omega-class platforms come online, he ordered. Full power to primary weapons. Prepare for long-range engagement. The platforms revealed themselves one by one, shedding their scientific disguises to show their true nature. Massive weapon arrays powered by fusion reactors, capable of striking targets at incredible distances. Commander Zethkar's retreat was becoming a nightmare of new revelations. Every hour brought fresh evidence of human military strength. Weapon platforms hidden throughout their outer system. Fleets positioned near every major planet. Communication networks that spanned multiple star systems. Commander, Velthara reported, with despair in her voice, I'm detecting at least 15,000 human combat vessels throughout their space. This is larger than any military force in known galactic history. 15,000 ships. The number was incomprehensible. The Vorlaxian Empire controlled 47 star systems and possessed less than 5,000 combat vessels total. How is this possible? Zethkar asked. How can one species have built such a massive military force? Unknown, Commander. But the evidence suggests they've been preparing for interstellar warfare for generations. Their entire civilization appears to be focused on military development. As the alien scouts finally reached the edge of human space, they transmitted their final intelligence reports back to the Vorlaxian Empire. The data they sent would change everything about the planned invasion. The humans weren't primitives waiting to be conquered. They were a military superpower that had been quietly building strength while appearing to focus on peaceful development. The Vorlaxian invasion fleet, powerful enough to conquer any known civilization, was about to face an enemy that might be stronger than the entire Vorlaxian Empire. Admiral Carter watched the alien ships disappear into interstellar space from her command center on Luna. The first phase of contact was complete. Now humanity would discover whether their decades of preparation had been enough. Begin Phase 4, she ordered. Full mobilization of all deep space assets. If they're bringing a fleet, we'll be ready for them. Across human space, the largest military mobilization in history began. Ships that had been held in secret reserves for decades emerged from hidden bases. Weapons that had never been tested in combat powered up for the first time. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what a truly prepared species could accomplish. Admiral Lisa Carter stood before the massive display screen in Luna Command, watching as the largest fleet in human history assembled in the outer solar system. The alien scouts had been gone for 3 days, but their message had been clear. They would return with a full invasion force. Admiral Harrison, she said into her communicator, "Are we ready for the final demonstration?" "All fleets are in position, Lisa. Operation Revelation is ready to begin." Carter nodded grimly. For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier had been trained for the day when Earth would face an alien invasion. Now that day had come. Begin the activation sequence, show them everything. Across the solar system, automated systems that had been dormant for decades suddenly came to life. Hidden bases opened their doors. Secret shipyards revealed their contents. Reserve fleets that existed only in classified documents emerged from The Shadows. Admiral Bob Taylor commanded the First Fleet from his flagship, the UES Titan. Around him, 8,000 combat vessels moved in perfect formation. Battleships that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Carriers packed with fighter squadrons. Destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels in numbers that defied imagination. All ships, assume battle formation, Taylor ordered. Let's show these aliens what humanity can do when we stop holding back. The First Fleet was just the beginning. As Commander Zethkar's scouts transmitted their final intelligence reports back to Vorlaxian space, humanity was revealing the true scope of their military preparation. General Linda Murphy commanded the Terran ground forces from her headquarters on Mars. At her signal, planetary defense systems throughout human space came online. Weapons that could strike targets in orbit, shield generators that could protect entire continents, and ground forces numbering in the billions. All planetary commands, implement full defense protocols, she ordered. If they want to invade human space, they'll have to fight for every planet, every moon, every asteroid. Captain Chris Hall commanded the newest addition to the human fleet, the UES Devastator. His ship was one of 50 dreadnoughts that had been built in secret over the past decade. Each one was larger than any alien vessel the scouts had encountered, and armed with weapons that made previous human ships look like toys. Captain, his tactical officer reported, "We're receiving deployment orders. We're being assigned to the Alpha Centauri Defense Fleet." Hall smiled. The aliens thought they had discovered humanity's military strength, but they had only seen the home fleet. Human colonies in other star systems possessed their own massive defense forces. "Set course for Alpha Centauri," he ordered. "Time to show the neighbors what Earth has been building." Meanwhile, Admiral Michel Garcia prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. The Terran Strategic Reserve had been hidden for 30 years, consisting of fleets so powerful that their existence had been known only to a handful of military leaders. "All reserve fleet commanders, this is Admiral Garcia. Operation Final Revelation is now active. Emerge from concealment and take your assigned positions." What happened next would have been impossible for any alien species to comprehend. Throughout human space, fleets that had been hidden in deep space emerged from concealment. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids shed their camouflage. Bases that had been built inside planets revealed themselves. The reserve fleet alone consisted of 12,000 combat vessels, each one more advanced than anything the alien scouts had encountered. These ships had been built using technology developed specifically for interstellar warfare, incorporating every lesson learned from decades of military planning. Commander Dan Phillips commanded the intelligence vessel UES Observer, humanity's most advanced reconnaissance ship. His mission was to monitor alien communications and gather intelligence about the approaching Vorlaxian fleet. "Admiral Carter," he reported, "I'm intercepting alien transmissions. They're in complete panic. Their invasion fleet is requesting reinforcements from multiple Vorlaxian battle groups." "How large is their invasion force?" Carter asked. "Approximately 3,000 ships, Admiral. They're calling it the largest fleet in Vorlaxian history." Carter almost laughed. 3,000 ships. The aliens were bringing their entire military might to conquer humanity, and they were still outnumbered 7-1. "Keep monitoring their communications, Captain. I want to know everything about their fleet composition and battle plans." The Vorlaxian invasion fleet approached the solar system with confidence born from 47 successful conquests. Fleet Commander Kralthek had never lost a battle. His 3,000 ships represented the combined military might of the entire Vorlaxian Empire. "Scout leader Velthara," he said to the surviving reconnaissance officer, "your reports about human military strength must be exaggerated. No single species could possess the forces you described." Velthara's 4 eyes showed the strain of what she had witnessed. "Commander, I assure you the reports are accurate. The humans have military capabilities beyond anything we've encountered." "Impossible. We will crush them as we have crushed every other species." But as the Vorlaxian fleet entered the outer edge of the solar system, Kraltek began to understand the magnitude of his mistake. His sensors detected human ships everywhere. Not hundreds or thousands, but tens of thousands. Admiral Carter authorized the final phase of Operation Revelation. Every human military asset in the solar system revealed itself simultaneously. Hidden, fleets emerged from behind planets. Weapon platforms disguised as space stations showed their true nature. Reserve forces that had been held in secret for decades took their battle positions. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, total fleet strength is now visible. 28,000 combat vessels, plus support ships and planetary defenses. 28,000 ships, the largest military force in galactic history, all under human command. Every vessel crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Fleet Commander Kraltek stared at his tactical display in complete shock. His 3,000 ships, the pride of the Vorlaxian Empire, were faced with a human fleet nearly 10 times larger. Ships that were individually more advanced than anything his empire possessed. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are broadcasting a message to our fleet." Admiral Carter's voice filled the bridge of every Vorlaxian ship. "Vorlaxian fleet, you have entered Terran space with hostile intent. You are outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. You have one chance to avoid total destruction. Withdraw immediately and never return." Kraltek tried to respond with defiance, but the words died in his throat. How could he threaten a force that could destroy his entire fleet without taking significant losses? "You have conquered 47 worlds," Carter continued. "You will not conquer the 48th. Humanity has been preparing for this day for generations. We are not your victims. We are your equals, and we will defend our space with everything we have." The demonstration continued as human fleets from other star systems began arriving in Sol. The Alpha Centauri defense fleet, consisting of 5,000 ships, the Proxima garrison, with another 3,000 vessels. Colony fleets from a dozen other human worlds, each one a formidable military force in its own right. "Commander," Velthara reported with despair, "I'm detecting human fleets arriving from multiple star systems. Total force strength is now over 40,000 combat vessels, 40,000 ships. The Vorlaxian Empire, with all its conquered worlds and military might, possessed less than 5,000 combat vessels total. The humans had revealed a military force 8 times larger than the entire Vorlaxian navy." Fleet Commander Kraltek realized he was facing the end of Vorlaxian expansion. His empire had encountered a species that was not only more powerful, but had been specifically preparing for this type of conflict for decades. "All ships," he ordered weakly, "retreat to Vorlaxian space. Maximum speed." "Commander," his communications officer reported, "the humans are not pursuing. They're holding position at the edge of their territory." Admiral Carter watched the Vorlaxian fleet retreat on her strategic display. The largest alien invasion force in history was fleeing from human space without firing a shot. "Status of all fleets?" she requested. "All human forces are operational and ready for combat," came the reply. "0 casualties, 0 damage." Carter nodded with satisfaction. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. The species that had been quietly building strength while appearing to focus on peaceful development had revealed itself as the most powerful military force in known space. "Tell them to return to their space and inform their empire that humanity is not interested in conquest, but we will defend our territory and our allies with everything we have. Any future aggression will be met with the full force of human military might." Captain Tony Rodriguez led the first human deep space exploration fleet beyond the solar system, following the retreating aliens at a safe distance. His mission was to establish humanity's presence in the galaxy and make contact with other species. "Captain," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving signals from multiple alien civilizations. They want to establish diplomatic